His name. It hit me like another electric shock. They were shouting the man on the horse's name, or maybe his name and nicknames, in different languages and dialects, including Latin. And then from the crowd someone shouted a single word, and all the other names and shouts fell silent. Archerius! There was a pause, and then someone else shouted that name again. Archerius! The name was taken up by others in the crowd and repeated, growing with each utterance until it made the very air shake. Archerius! 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 And the man on the horse just stood there, surveying his people with a calm but proud expression. I stared up at him, burning that face into my memory. I knew then that I would never forget that face, no matter if 1 or 100 years passed by. The man whose entire army knew him as Archerius. And then I heard a voice whisper in my ear, one bearing his name will come when he is needed most. And that is an excerpt from the short story I will be reviewing today, Mother of the King by Rami Ungar. A woman mysteriously finds herself in Middle Ages Glastonbury and stumbles upon a strange burial place containing 2 skeletons and an inscribed cross. She takes the cross with her, and in a flash finds herself a witness to the brutal aftermath of a battle, as the surviving soldiers bellow out a chant to their heroic leader. Another quick flash, and she's back in present-day Glastonbury. Was it just a dream, she wonders? No. And she has the proof. The medieval cross is still with her. She buries the cross away, as well as the memory associated with it, and tries to move on with her life. She succeeds, until a one-night stand with a man she meets at a club leaves her pregnant, and the cross begins to nag at her attention once again. Through the help of a professor in British history, the inscription on the cross is translated to read, "Here lies interred the famous King Arthur on the Isle of Avalon." Committed to research on the Arthur legend and the history surrounding it, she discovers the valiant destiny of her son-to-be, the rising Arthur hero of his day. It's an inspired idea, isn't it? I remember when I first realized the premise of this story, I felt both a tingle of excitement, but also a small sting of envy. Because being a writer myself, I thought, man, this is a great idea. I wish I had thought of it. I also enjoyed the process of seeing all these myths and romance that make up the Arthur legend suddenly being scattered. They're suddenly broken down as the main character goes about her research and further discovers the destiny of her son. And then we're enchanted by this fresh play on the concept of the Arthur legend. Rami updates it to our present experience. I found this premise of updating the Arthur figure to be a hopeful one, especially in our present time of confusion and doubt. And I also realized there's an interesting theme embedded within the premise. It's a theme that suggests there's still value in the archaic traditions of our past, and in fact, it further suggests we should hearken to those past traditions and still find some way to utilize them for the purpose of maintaining and restoring order in the present. The Arthur figure is that representation of the past's archaic traditions. He still has value. He will rise again, but he's also anachronistic. In his bare old form, he's an unsuitable match for present-day battles. And so his essence as the stalwart leader must be preserved, but his extending influences must be modified and updated to become suitable for the current battles. Instead of wielding a sword and knight-like armor, he's dressed in smart armor, equipped with nanotechnology that changes its shape. Instead of castle ramparts, he's protected by the electromagnetic force field called the Camelot system. And for me, it was the realization of this theme that really sparked my investment. It kind of served as the engine of the story, so to speak. So where do I think the story is lacking? I guess I wanted to see more of these details about the world war he's fighting in and the technological advancements. I wanted to see these details fleshed out to a greater extent. The short story in some ways feels like the seed for an epic fantasy novel, and it feels like some of that potential was cut short. There was also some moments where the narrator began to seem very chatty, where I would get a lot of info dump in summary form about things that I just wasn't interested in. For instance, I guess I didn't really care about Arthur's mischievous personality as a young boy, his Bart Simpson-like personality. I didn't really care about that. I didn't care much about his interest in anime, yada, yada, yada. Some of that I kind of started to skip over. I was interested in, his fascination of robotics and how that developed towards his inventions for the military with the smart armor and the electromagnetic field. Maybe more of that could have been detailed and fleshed out more. Like I said before, it seems like in the short story form sort of trapped it, and it didn't allow certain seeds to burgeon into their true potential. So the first-person narrator of the story, Arthur's mother, she does use vulgar language like the F word from time to time. Now let me be clear about something. I'm not necessarily against a character using vulgar language if I find it believable to that character and the environment in which they are portrayed. For instance, a criminal gangbanger in downtown Chicago using the F word, I would find that quite believable to that character and its environment. It wouldn't pull me out of the story. It would probably immerse me more. But when Arthur's mother uses it, in this story, I found it very distracted. I found it very constrained and awkward. It seemed like he was forcing it to be there, and it pulled me just right out of the story. Now, Arthur's mother, she is a military officer. Maybe Rami was trying to depict her as kind of a badass who's really proud of her son, but it just didn't work for me. It left me with a bad taste in my mouth. And I guess the other concern I have is, this is a fantasy story. It came across to me as like one potentially marketable to children. And I guess if he's using vulgar language like that, I feel like he robs himself of that potential market. So overall, what do I think of this story? What is my final verdict? I like this story. It's inventive. I think the premise is quite unique. I found the theme to be quite inspiring. But like I said, I feel Rami did not develop the story to its full potential. I feel like this short story is just a seed to be grown into something greater, and it just hasn't been given that chance to flourish. I truly believe it would make a very fun, adventurous, epic fantasy novel. What else would be cool is if you could find a way to option it into film rights. Maybe it'd make for a great superhero movie, especially in this time when superhero films are quite popular. But on a scale of 1 to 5, I give Mother of the King a 3. So this concludes my review for today. Please comment, share, subscribe, and hit the like button. All these things help keep DeathGroundReviews alive, the monster that devours horror, suspense, and all those things of the fantastic. See you next time.